And a lot of people, the main problem they have with real estate, how do I actually get in when I don't have any money? Do you actually think you can do real estate without having money? Someone that wants to get into real estate, and maybe we can end off on this. What would you recommend? So right now, let's say you're talking to an 18-year-old, they're fresh.
Get yourself a job in real estate.
A job. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا، أنا محمد القفاري، طالب مالية مثل ما تعرفون. اليوم معنا ضيف عجيب هنا في لندن، الأستاذ شوف، مالك شركة عقارية هنا في لندن، فتحوا مكتب في الرياض. بتكون هذه السالفة في الإنجليزي، فإن شاء الله بتكون في ترجمة تحت. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hello, Mr. Shaf. How are you?
Hello, محمد.
Welcome. We were having a little conversation beforehand where I got to know a little about the company and stuff. How did I meet you?
We got introduced by a good friend of ours, محمد.
So inshallah, 2 weeks before this episode comes up, there's an episode with Muhammad.
Really?
So Muhammad's the guy that we were with last time with John, and this time inshallah with Mr. Shaf.
Yeah, so Muhammad is someone that I met in Saudi Arabia, and since then we've established a very good relationship. He's an amazing guy. And he just reached out to me a few days ago saying, you have to meet this guy, Muhammad. He's young influencer on social media, and why don't you meet him? I said, yeah, why not? So thank you for having me in your platform, and welcome to our office.
No, welcome. And you have to come visit us in Saudi. And on the topic of Saudi, you said first of all, I want to understand a few things. What we like to talk about here is we kind of try and want to understand how the business world works. So we've sat with some people that work in like recruiting and jobs. We've sat with some people in marketing. We've sat with some people in investments. But the world of real estate. Now, I was just telling you about this phrase. العقار ابن البار, which means it's a very popular Saudi saying, which is kind of like real estate is the caring child that will help you in your old age. Why did you decide to enter real estate, and what is it exactly that you do?
I mean, that's exactly what you just mentioned about real estate. I mean, the reason why I got into it is simply because I just found it fascinating from a young age, and I quickly developed a passion about the whole enterprise of real estate. And when I got into it, the first thing that I did was starting buying real estate, trying to build an empire for real estate. And that eventually helped me build Victor Stone, an international real estate brand, where we have offices now in Doha, in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, and Hong Kong.
But there's kind of a big jump from saying I started by buying properties and now we have offices around the world. How was that beginning part,
So I think what happened was when I started buying properties, I actually got myself a job at a real estate company first. And what I was explaining to you earlier was I met this lady who was my boss at the time, and I just was inspired by her. The way she bought properties, he managed properties, she was helping other people make money from real estate, and like you said, where it would help build their own family legacies. And I thought to myself, when I was in my early 20s, I can do that. If she can, why can't I not? And from that moment onwards, after I left working for her, part-time, I started doing my own thing. Eventually, when I knew I can take over my own business, I quit my job and I just fully focused on my own business. And that's how I started.
Robert Kiyosaki, I believe, he has this famous saying, I'm sure you're familiar with Robert. Robert Kiyosaki is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very well-known person in the world of real estate. He says that you can start in real estate with no money whatsoever. And a lot of people, the main problem they have with real estate, albeit in Saudi Arabia or even here in the UK, you'll always say this, how do I actually get in when I don't have any money? Do you actually think you can do real estate without having money?
I mean, look, if you can get yourself a position as a real estate broker, okay, because you can earn significant amounts of commission. What you can do, obviously, you can make commission, use that commission, save it, spend it well, and put it towards a deposit of a property and start that way.
But how can I become a real estate broker? Do I have to study university or something?
Not really. It depends what country. I mean, in this country, I can tell you one thing. You don't need no university degree to become a real estate broker. What it comes down to yourself, your personal attributes. How badly do you want it? Do you really want to make it happen? Because I can tell you one thing is hard. Real estate's not easy. But if you can understand how the process works, how emotional intelligence works, how to really press the right buttons with the right people at the right time, knowing that only emotion sells, then you can make the commission that you want. That will help you build a deposit amount that you can buy your first property. And then you keep on moving forward.
Muhammad said something interesting last week on this topic, just like related, is that real estate is a whole world and you kind of have to specialize sometimes.
Yeah.
What is your specialty and how did you kind of choose it or begin with it?
So my specialty is the brokerage side of things. I love introducing the person to the property. That's what I love doing. I'm not into developments. I don't build properties. I don't do anything like that. I work with developers. All they do is build, and they use someone like me to find the right buyer for their property. That's my number one goal. I know how to market a property. I know how to present the property. And I know how to find the right buyer and match it with the right property. That's what I do, and that's my specialty.
How do you choose it?
Because I was a landlord myself. And the person that I gave my property to first in the beginning, he messed it up. So he put the wrong people in my property. And I'm thinking to myself, what is he doing? Can you see? Because I had completely the wrong people in the property. They weren't paying me the rent, and there was some problems going on at the moment. And then I decided I can do this myself. And when I found the right person for my own property, I thought, hang on a minute, I can do this for other people. And that's just really started, to be honest with you, and just kept on going. Because there's always someone out there for a property. It's up to me to match the two together, finding what the client wants, what the client needs, and what the property's availability and the facilities and the amenities and the best features, and just matching the two together. I've been doing this for a number of years, and the key thing is this, for me, it's a business that is very, very scalable, because any other thing that you do in real estate can be quite difficult to scale, but this is one of the most scalable businesses that you can find.
Why does scalability matter?
Scalability matters is because you don't want to be in the same place or stuck in the same zone of real estate, if you like. The world is moving so quickly. If you don't move forward with time, you're just going to be left behind. I mean, earlier we were just talking about how social media has changed the world. Now, if I don't move forward and if my business is not scalable or agile, then what that means is I'm going to be stuck in one place. And trust me when I tell you, if you're stuck in one place, you're going backwards. Because the world is moving forward. That means you're going backwards.
I like that.
Yeah.
Have it on the card.
Absolutely. Honestly, it's not just that. What real estate does is you get to meet amazing people. I mean, I was talking to you earlier. I met some amazing people in Saudi Arabia or in the Middle East. Only real estate has allowed me to do this, because what the best thing about real estate is also, it's not a type of job. You're stuck in one place or you're sat at your desk in the office. You're going out all the time. You're meeting new people. And trust me when I tell you, your network keeps on growing. One person introduces you to another person introduces to another person, and it keeps on going. It's a people's business. When people trust you, they buy from you. When people trust you, they give you the portfolio, and it keeps on going. And one thing about us and our company is all based on trust and credibility. We do a good job, and they keep on talking to other people about us.
There's a common kind of thing that I get from some people messages.
Yeah.
Because obviously I talk a lot in stages and in people, and always the question is, what if I have social anxiety? How do I go through in business with social anxiety? What do I do if maybe I could be a people person, but maybe I just struggle? Because you're saying it's a people's business. Do you think that type of people, that person that maybe struggles to speak, that might stammer, that might not fit in with people, is there a place for them?
That's a skill that's learned. No one's born with that skill of having a people person skill. That skill is learned over time. You just have to get yourself out there, make those mistakes, make yourself like a fool. Can you see? That's the only way you will learn. And the more people you meet, the more mistakes you make, you just learn from it. Because the world that we live in now, we spoke about personal branding, right? You are your personal brand. You have to get out of it in business. There's only so many businesses where you're behind the screens, if not unless you're in crypto or anything like that. But majority of the businesses, your personal brand matters. So you have to be at the forefront of any business. And all I'm going to say to anybody who wants to do anything like real estate is get out there, make the mistakes, fall over, pick yourself up, and keep on going, because it's a skill that's acquired over time and with experience.
So Victor Stone started in London.
Yeah.
You worked in the local market for a few years, and then you went to China.
Yeah.
How was China? And how long did you last there?
So what happened was, with the whole real estate side with Victor Stone, we started in the mid-2000s, about 2006 or so. And then,
but you started in 2006?
That's correct.
So you started just before the whole banking crisis?
Absolutely.
Wait, hang on. Before China, how was that?
So 2006, at the time, it was amazing back then, right? Real estate was so... What can I say? It was like the wild, wild west in the UK at the time. Now there's so many regulations that have come in and made it a lot harder. But back in those days, it was so much easier, to make money. And we exploded. And what happened was we introduced the financial services for mortgages. Luckily, we opened up multiple offices all over London. And then obviously the 2008 crash had happened. And when that crash had happened, obviously everything in the world, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, got affected. And real estate is no different. But it was a blessing in disguise for us, because the way we marketed our company, we actually propelled during the credit crunch. It wasn't the other way around. As I said to you, you have to build a business that's ready for any kind of conditions. You have to be scalable, agile, and number one in any kind of business, keep your costs low, because you never know what is around the corner. So this is my motto all the time: keep your costs low. Doesn't matter what hits you, you're always going to be ready for the worst case scenario.
But I'm really interested in what happened in 2008. You say that you weren't affected by the credit crunch. What specifically though? Create that scenario, because a lot of people that watch this, you'll be surprised, that don't really remember 2008 very well. So first of all, maybe I'll give a bit of context. 2008, a lot of the banks in America started to fail, massive problems with debt, mortgage-backed securities, where it basically caused the whole world to... It's the best way to summarize it. And it affected everything, as you said. So in a world with a lack of security and a lack of trust in the institutions, the banking institutions, how are you saying that it wasn't a credit crunch?
Because our rentals business absolutely exploded. Can you see? Because people weren't buying, weren't selling. That didn't matter. When people are not buying, they rent. If someone can't sell, then they put the property out for market for rent. That's the reason why. Can you see? So our rentals market absolutely exploded. And because a lot of the companies that you see in this country, or back in those days, you're either a selling agent or a renting agent, because we were doing both. But during the credit crunch, our selling business I mean, more or less died, if you like. But the rentals business absolutely exploded. And that's what pushed us through during the credit crunch situation. And that allowed us to have the cash flow to open up multiple offices. And that's when we increased our marketing. What we also did was at that time, we started advertising on TV stations, in Sky TV stations. This is before social media, by the way. Instagram started in 2012 or something. Facebook, it was just new at the time, in 2008. In fact, I opened my Facebook account in 2008 or 2009. So everything was very new in social media. So we advertised on television at the time. It was very expensive. But because other companies were dying, we were the number one players at the time in that part of London.
Yeah, the capital to survive it.
Absolutely. And that's where it allowed us to go through that period knowing that it doesn't matter what comes our way. One thing I've always said to myself in life, when a challenge happens, it's an opportunity for growth. People look at it as a problem. I look at it as an opportunity. Even the most recent COVID situation that happened, people looked at it as a problem, as a challenge. I looked at it as an opportunity. It's your mindset when anything that hits you. It's how you perceive when certain things come to you.
So 2006 you started, then you had the banking crisis, and then China.
So what happened was, at the time, just after the credit crunch, the London market bounced back straight away. Okay, this is the beauty about London. London is a city where it doesn't die. It can fall sick, but it will recover from its illness. That's exactly what happened during credit crunch. After the credit crunch, it just literally bounced back. And the London became the playground for the wealthy people to come and invest. It was literally open to the world where people were coming to buy. And the Hong Kong market was really busy at the time. So we were lucky enough to capture that market. Now we have a huge portfolio of Hong Kong buyers, Chinese buyers buying London real estate. That's when it really kicked off for that.
To the average person, I feel like we read a lot in books, or hearing from interviews, or hearing from people such as yourself, that we entered China, or we entered Saudi Arabia, we'll get to that later, or we entered whatever country. What does that actually entail? How do you just knock on the doors of the country, say we want to open an office? Or?
No, it's not just knocking on the door and open an office. Obviously, a lot of research goes in. Is this somewhere that we want to target? We want to see what the demand is like. We want to see what the appetite is like, and so on. And then we found at the time that the Hong Kong market is buoyant, and there is a correlation between Hong Kong and Britain. In fact, you can call them British, people in Hong Kong, because of the history behind it. And it was quite easy, to be honest with you. So we marketed ourselves in such a way where Hong Kong buyers were coming through us, buying London real estate. And I'll be honest with you, they are one of the easiest people to deal with, because before they buy any kind of real estate, they will do their due diligence. They will do their research. So when they come to you because they want to buy something, they will buy. They have no other question because they've done the research already. So you know what? They've actually do a lot of your job for you. So we found it actually a lot easier. And once they bought from us, believe it or not, a lot of them have never come to the UK. So they literally handed the keys over to us of their property. And then what we did was we rented the property, finding the best suitable tenants for them, did the property management. And every quarter we'll take pictures of their property, send it to them, and they know their property's been taken care of. And we've had people working with us for more than a decade now. So yeah, it was really good.
So China, are you still in the Chinese market?
The Hong Kong market now is a bit saturated because it's a small place, Hong Kong, can you see? And that's where we focused mostly. So at the time, let's just say 2017, 18, at that period, we then moved into Dubai. Then we started looking at the Dubai market. Because as I said to you in real estate, you have to reinvent yourself all the time. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Even perhaps what you're doing, you're talking about social media. There's certain things are good now, but maybe a few weeks or a year later, you have to change your style, right? You have to reinvent yourself. So we as a company, we had to rebrand ourselves, reinvent ourselves. So then we entered the Dubai market. And before COVID had happened, we had gone in. People from Damac, they approached us. People from Shoba, they approached us. Big developers in Dubai. And we decided to work with them. And our niche was what? Selling to the British market. And that's where we entered Dubai.
And Dubai is interesting. And I want to kind of get your opinion. I kind of gauged the question earlier, but I want to see the specifics. Dubai is kind of an interesting city because it's a city where the original people are very few, the natives. And so that creates a very interesting kind of dichotomy with the people that will actually be interested in buying real estate. Are they buying for long term or short term? Do you think in any way influences how the real estate market functions there? How was that experience in that regard? Because obviously I can tell you in London people buy to live or they invest in long term, similar in Riyadh, similar in Doha and other cities. How was it specifically in Dubai?
I mean, when we entered the market in 2018, 2019, just before COVID, it was all about investing. They weren't interested in living there. It was all about just investing. People have surplus cash, surplus income, and all they wanted to do was just park their money somewhere. can you see? And at that time, it was 10 years after the credit crunch that we had gone into Dubai. And Dubai had learned from what happened in 2008. Because Dubai struggled a lot after COVID. And now it's become a mature market. But before COVID, that was what it was. And then after COVID, especially what happened with the Ukraine war with Russia, and obviously the Russian money came flooding into Dubai and literally pushed up the market value of most properties in Dubai. And the demand for Dubai from 2001 up until now has been nothing short of phenomenal. But you're absolutely right. The natives, probably make about 5% of the population. 95% are expats. But now you will find that people are not just buying to invest, buying to live as well. Because from what I have seen, Dubai has done a pretty good job of getting the message out. Like it's got world-class education, 0% crime, the hot weather throughout, opportunities galore. So now what's happened now is people are actually leaving, not just to invest, to live in that country as well, or the city rather.
Oh, the city. We always call it a country.
Absolutely.
So where do we go after Dubai?
So what happened was after Dubai, then about 2022, during the Qatar World Cup, at the time, that's when I got fascinated with the GCC market. I was looking at Qatar and I was thinking to myself that Qatar has obviously won the bid to host the World Cup, but the infrastructure they have built leading towards that, I was fascinated what they did and so on. Then I stumbled across Saudi Arabia, and how I came across Saudi Arabia is simply because of the hype around Saudi Arabia. You hear in the Western world, you see on television, YouTube or social media about NEOM and about all the other giga projects which are taking place. And then at that point, I thought, okay, hang on a minute. I need to forget all the other GCC countries for now. Let me see what Saudi Arabia has to offer. And literally one day, me and my brother, co-director and founder, we literally packed our bags and we just went to Saudi Arabia. Just for a couple of weeks, just to see what the whole hype was around. So we go there and we don't know the language, we don't know the culture, anything like that at all whatsoever. I've been to Saudi Arabia before, Umrah and Medina, Mecca, but not to Riyadh. And we just fell in love with it. The country, the people, the culture.
When did you go?
January of 23.
Oh, okay, so it's recent.
Yeah, January 23. Literally just under 2 years ago.
Do you know what's funny about Riyadh? I guarantee if you go in there, you won't recognize it.
You're right. You're right. Things are moving so quickly. And that's the beauty about Riyadh. I believe we are now in Riyadh where Dubai was 20 years ago. Maybe even shorter than 20 years. Because what Dubai can do, Riyadh can do in 5 years.
And I don't think it stops at Riyadh, honestly. I think there's so many projects in Saudi Arabia, even me as someone who's incredibly interested, it's so hard to keep up. I'll give you an example. I was walking in Piccadilly Circus, which is kind of like this massive, a lot of billboards, kind of like Times Square.
Absolutely.
And I was walking with some friends, non-Saudi, and we're walking and I see this billboard, and I think it said Sauda, S-A-W-D-A. I'm like, oh, what's that? What's Sauda? It looks like they're copying those Saudi projects. They want to be like Saudi, because I've never heard of this before. And I look it up, and it's actually a Sauda in Abha, which is the south, the greenery and the projects, they're coming out, mashallah, at such incredible speed. Yeah. But the thing is, it doesn't stop at Riyadh.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So when I went to Saudi Arabia just before the summertime, I went to Riyadh, obviously with all the projects that's taking place. But Jeddah as well. I met some amazing people out there in Jeddah. And what they're doing to Jeddah, especially I think it got announced about 2-3 days ago, Jeddah Tower, they're commencing the build now, which is going to overtake Burj Khalifa as the tallest building in the world.
I think 2027.
2027 is completion, you're absolutely right. But what fascinated me was it doesn't stop there. Even Medina. We went to Medina to meet some developers out there as well. And the grand plans they have for Medina is phenomenal. Even Mecca as well, can you see? So the whole country just fascinates me. I'm in real estate. This is what I do for a living. And, when I see things like what's happening, and we want to know people part of it. And alhamdulillah, I would like to thank Allah that I've been introduced to a prominent family in Saudi Arabia, and now we're going into partnership. Now we have an office in Riyadh where my brother is now. He's leading the Saudi Arabia project. Our goal, very simple, right now is to facilitate people from Saudi Arabia, people from Qatar or the GCC when they are buying properties in London. Just exactly how we do with Hong Kong. We're doing the same thing now with GCC, because we have found is you have people who are very well versed in London, but then you have others who may not be well versed in London. So what we do, we try to educate them in the best locations, or if it's an investment purposes, for the best ROI, with the colleges, universities, the train lines, or whether it's future regeneration projects, so that they purchase the right property for them and for the families. And it's been going very well.
I have a proposition for you to look into. If you go and see how the real estate price, especially in places like in Riyadh, especially in places like in Qassim, especially in places like in Medina, as you mentioned, how the prices are skyrocketing. I don't even mean just some specific parts. I mean the cities are doubling. People that bought houses for 1.2 riyals 5 years ago now sell for 4.5, 3.9 in certain areas. Has it ever come to your mind for a market to sell foreigners to Saudi Arabia to buy these types of parts? Is that ever part of your long-term target?
100%. For people from Saudi Arabia to buy London, that's just one objective. The number one objective is to sell Saudi Arabia real estate to Saudi Arabians. That's one. But more importantly, to sell Saudi Arabia to the whole world. Because we have access to international investors all over the world, where people buy stuff in Dubai or people buy stuff in the UK. Saudi Arabia will open up to the foreign buyers or overseas buyers very soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen, right? They want foreign money to come in. So people like us who have access to foreign buyers, we will be presenting Saudi Arabian real estate to the whole world. Now, one thing we specialize in, exhibitions and events. So we did one in Cityscape in 2023. We were there. We had a huge stand. It was very successful in Riyadh. We've been to Doha for exhibitions. We've been to Dubai for exhibitions. We're doing exhibitions in the UK, in Hong Kong. So one thing we do very well is exhibitions. So when the time comes, I don't know when the time comes, when projects like Neom or Qiddiya or Jeddah Development Central, those projects are available to the overseas buyers, we want to be at the forefront selling to the world. Believe me, we have got huge buyers from America as well. So our goal is very simple. We'll be doing exhibitions worldwide, promoting and pushing Saudi Arabian real estate. And I believe this is where we're going to do very well.
Someone that wants to get into real estate, and maybe we can end off on this. What would you recommend? So right now, let's say you're talking to an 18-year-old, they're fresh.
Get yourself a job in real estate.
A job.
Get yourself a job in a real estate.
Anything in particular?
I mean, the larger companies that you go to, okay, there's only so much you're going to learn because you're just
larger companies.
Yeah, simply because you're just going to be a number. But when you actually go to like a medium firm or a smaller firm, you get to know everything. And that's where you want to be. You want to know everything, how everything works. Because when you go to a really large firm, they're just going to put you in a corner, you're just a number. Can you see? You don't get to see everything and how everything works and whatever. Because you only preview to whatever section that you'll be put into. But when you go to a medium-sized company, you can make a name for yourself, or a smaller company, you can actually establish yourself, right? And at that point, you learn from top to bottom and everything. That's where you want to be. That's where you will have the platform that you need in order for you to do whatever you want to do in real estate. That's my advice.
I've asked many people to answer this advice question. I'll read you some of these. You might find them interesting. By who? I've asked the likes of Steve Wozniak. I've asked the likes of everyone I meet in events and everything. Same question. What is the main advice you'd give that person? So you'd say that it would be get a job in real estate in an SME.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're familiar with Steve Wozniak, right?
Yeah.
Founder of Apple. So he said, people will laugh at you, but you have to have the experience to back it up. And everyone will come running eventually and work in what you like. Other things that we've got on is always work in endeavors in groups and always find smart and driven people. Other people have told us, this is Abdulmajid al-Sekhan, familiar with the company Tamara?
No.
So one of the largest BNPL companies in the Middle East. Sunk costs, forget them. Always do what makes the most economic sense. Team is key, distribution is key. And also the founder of Zed, he says the importance of team. A lot of these are team-based or experience-based.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I mean, look, everyone has their own experience. Everyone has their own purpose. Everyone has their own advice which they can give. But I think the key thing is this, your personal attributes. You just have to improve yourselves. Become the absolute best version of yourselves, honestly. Because when you you have to understand success and money is something that you attract, but you need to become attractive first. And how do you become attractive? You have to become the best version of yourself. When you do that, then you become attractive. Then at that point, it's effortlessly things are coming to you. It's not the other way around. The last thing that you want to do is chase for anything. Because when you're chasing for a reason, it's moving away from you.
When you chase something, it's moving away. And I think that's a lovely way to end it off.
Thank you so much.
Allah Jazak Khair, Mr. Shah. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
I'm in www.victorstone.co.uk. That's our website. Or Shof_VSG. That's my Instagram. I mean, follow us. See what we're doing. If you're in London, visit our office. We're based in the city of London. If not, in Riyadh, Al-Rahmaniyah. That's where we are based. Reach out to me. Let's meet up. Let's grab coffee.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.